welcome back. I'm pleased to say that our first programme of the new year has brought a really positive response to all the videos and reconstructions shown tonight. There's certainly something for the officers here to work on. For instance, a lot of names have been given for possible suspects in the case of the rape of a mother and daughter on Christmas Day in Northolt. We've also had a call from a woman who was pestered the day before by a man in the same area. Several positive leads on the indecent assault in Wood Green. More information, of course, as we go along.
Let's start with the disappearance of Kaylee Ward from Chester just before Christmas. Now, to be honest, this was a bit of a long shot because there have been so many public appeals on this. We weren't sure if there was any more information to get at. What sort of response have you had?
We've had a good response tonight, both here and at Chester. We've had something like 50 calls in total. Lots of them were speculative sightings of a girl fitting Kaylee's description.
Is there anything that made your heart leap at all? I mean, you've got so many other calls, as I say, to work through over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
There was an interesting one because travellers do figure in relation to Kaylee's background. We have a sighting of a vehicle and somebody has taken a number of this vehicle with a girl fitting Kaylee's description sat in the front passenger seat. So I'm interested to follow that one through.
Well, let's keep hoping. Kenny, thanks very much.
Now the ambush of a lorry driving through Kent, an attempted hijack eventually foiled by passers-by. So Jim Syret, what's the response been like?
We've had a particularly encouraging response to the 2 EFIT pictures that were shown of the men involved in this robbery. I'll just remind you what those descriptions were. The first man, who was wearing a woolly hat, was described as 35 to 45 years old. Quite a muscular build and about 6 feet tall. The second man was quite noticeably larger. He was 6'2", very heavy build, with black swept back hair. Both men spoke with a southern accent.
So positive leads that you'll be following up?
Yes, there's plenty of work for officers to be following up on those.
What about that silver blue BMW that was used?
I've not had so many calls on that, and I'm particularly keen to hear from anybody who can help us find where that car was between when it was stolen the 27th of November and when it was eventually abandoned after the second robbery on the 16th of December.
And that number plate is very clear there, M817PWL.
Yes.
Thanks very much indeed.
3 of our studio video items have produced fantastic response. The indecent assault wanted for in Wood Green. 20 callers have given specific information about one man, so that looks tremendous, and another victim looks like they've come forward. The deceiver in Lincolnshire, over a dozen calls, and at least 5 callers have given the same name for him. And the steamers in High Wycombe, over 60 callers have now called in, and 2 callers have given the same 2 names. So on all 3 cases, tremendous response.
We've had 3 matching names for the sex crimes in North Wales. 18 months ago, a man exposed himself in public. Then that same man has been linked by DNA to a rape last October in Prestatyn. Gareth Luke, a lot of calls, as I say, some matching names.
Over 200 calls so far in the incident room in North Wales and in this studio, so I'm very pleased. One name being mentioned 3 times. What I would appeal is if one of those callers was the actual accomplice, if he could actually phone in again and identify himself.
So this is that we don't know if he was actually an accomplice, because we don't think he committed a crime, but no, in the first case, the offender was with somebody who could identify him.
That is correct.
October 95. Now, you've also got some indication of why there might have been a year's gap. Maybe this chap was in prison.
We've also had a number of calls from people who think that they've served time with this offender, and that's very interesting and encouraging that people are actually telephoning in with that type of information.
You've got DNA, so it's very easy to eliminate somebody wrong. The girls who got a good sight of the offender just before the second rape, the attack, the rape, were they called in?
Someone has phoned in and named who the girls were, and we're going to follow that up first thing in the morning.
Looks very encouraging indeed.
It does indeed. We're very pleased.
Well, first, John William Hogg. He's sought in connection with a series of deceptions. We had some very positive sightings from some more landladies, including one in Shirley, Southampton, who thinks he stayed there last night, and he was still in possession of that beige Peugeot. There, we think he was using the name Lewis. On Gary Gallagher, we've only had 4 calls on him. The message is very simple. If you know where he is now, ring us immediately, please. And then lastly, Donna Clark Fian, again a series of deceptions. We've had over 30 calls, some very good leads, and I'm pretty confident the net there is tightening.
Well, one case we covered was, if not unique, it was extremely unusual, something you might expect in Sicily perhaps, but not in Yorkshire. It was an attempt to pervert the course of justice on a major scale. Someone, perhaps an organised gang, tried to burn down the forensic science laboratory at Wetherby. Well, Detective Superintendent Brian Steele appealed tonight for public help. Brian, I know you've been inundated with calls on this white glove. Anything positive?
We've had a splendid response, and I'm very grateful for the response in respect of the glove, but I do need help in respect of some of the other articles, and in particular the 2 jerry cans. I ask if anybody can recognise either of these 2 cans. Who did they belong to? Or the green petrol Tetra can. Does the label enable the seller to recognise it? Who sold that can? We really do need help.
And it was filled, or they were filled, on or before the 11th of November, which is when the crime took place.
That's correct, yes.
Now, there was a car involved, you think, as well. Can you describe that?
Yes, it's a metallic red Ford Fiesta car, probably a Ghia, possibly Mark II and B registration. Such a car's never been reported stolen, and I believe it's still in the possession of the offenders. There's probably 3 people committed this offence. Can people connect together the jerry cans, the car, 3 men? Please help us, we need it.
Brian Steele, thank you.
I think so far between 80 and 90 calls so far on the armed robbery in Dundee. That was an event, the robbery, about as rare as snow in August. But there was a bank robbery in Dundee. It happened in August. And by the time we were asked to help with the reconstruction, it really was snowing. What sort of quality of calls?
Good quality calls, a number of individuals named by prison officers and police officers, and I'm told that as soon as the number went on the screen, the incident room at Dundee just lit up with calls. So there's been quite a period of evaluation looking through the stuff that we've got.
Any names that ring a bell? I mean, you were pretty sure these guys weren't from Dundee. Are you getting calls from the right areas around there?
Yes, most of the calls are people from the west of Scotland, the Central Belt, which is of great interest to us.
You wanted to eliminate, or connect perhaps, 3 men caught by a security camera in the Bullionfield service station on the A90. That was the morning before the robbery. Anything on those?
None of those 3 men have contacted us. We have had a number of suggestions as to who they are, a number of callers asking to see them again.
Very, very quickly, the 3 CD fits. 1 man was in his 40s, he had a moustache. There were 2 younger people. Let's just see those again. That's the first one. He's probably under 20, and there's the second one. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
And that's all for this month. Our lines here to the studio are closing now, but you'll see the local numbers on screen in a moment, and of course they're all on CFAX as well on page 621. If you've a computer and a modem, try Crimewatch UK at the BBC. That's CWUK at bbc.co.uk. And if you've information on any crime that we haven't covered tonight, try Crime Stoppers. They're on 0800 555 111.
We'll be back next month with Crimewatch on Tuesday the 11th. Have a great and crime-free month, and don't have nightmares. Do sleep well. Good night.
Good night.